2025 is the year of the personal brand. And if you don't get started now, you will be forever left behind. Because right now, literally anyone, yes, even you, can pick up a camera, start making content, and land high-ticket clients in a matter of weeks. No degree, no experience, just a laptop and the right strategy. Now, most people completely overcomplicate building a personal brand. They think they need fancy equipment, millions of followers, and years of experience. But the truth is, it's actually incredibly simple if you follow the right steps. Whether you want to escape your 9-to-5 and finally start your own business, or if you already have a business and you want to build your personal brand to attract more clients, I'm going to show you the exact roadmap on how to do that. Now, I've helped people go from zero audience to a profitable personal brand in a matter of weeks, to signing their first high-ticket clients for thousands of dollars, and these people had no prior experience. And today, I'm going to show you the step-by-step blueprint on how you can do the same. And by the way, if you are looking to build your personal brand and monetize your following like we're talking about in this video, definitely add me on LinkedIn and send me a connection request so we can talk to see if the Founder X program is going to be a fit for you. Right now, we are in a once-in-a-lifetime era where personal brands are just completely taking over. And the people who start today, even if they're starting with 0 followers, are going to be the ones dominating their industry a couple years from now. Because this window of opportunity isn't going to last forever. So you have a choice. Either learn the skills and get ahead of the competition now, or do nothing and stay stuck while other people take your spot. So if you want to position yourself as the go-to expert in your industry, attract high-ticket clients, and build a business that gives you freedom, pay very close attention because I'm about to break down exactly how you can do it. Now, in order to build your profitable personal brand in the next 30 days, I broke it down step by step, week by week, so you know exactly what you should be doing so you can achieve your goals. We're going to be using the Founder X personal brand roadmap. And week number 1, the first thing that we need to work on is actually creating something to sell. Now, the biggest mistake I see when people are building their personal brands is that they think they are a creator first, meaning if they create content, people will watch and they think they're going to make money. But that's actually far from the truth because there's a ton of people who get a ton of views, but they have nothing to sell, so they don't make any money. The common pitfall I want you to avoid is don't be a broke creator. Think of yourself as a business person who happens to use content as a way to attract clients. So you are a business person who also happens to be a creator, but you're not only just a creator, right? And when you have that business mindset, then obviously the whole point of creating content is to get more exposure in order to sell something. Now, how do you figure out what exactly you should sell and who you should sell to? And I actually have an exercise for you guys, and it's called the Ikigai. So the Ikigai is a Japanese concept where you're going to find the intersection of 4 points: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. The simplest way to think about this is for each one of these categories, write down all the things that relate to that thing. So all the things that you love, things that you're good at, all the things that make money, right? And when you kind of put this all on paper, you will find an intersection where all of these things meet. An important thing I've also learned about this is when it comes to the things you love and the things you're good at, a lot of times we may aspire to be good at a skill, but we're not just quite there yet. For example, if you wanted to be a boxer and you're just an amateur, you're not technically good at it, but if you felt very strongly about it and you constantly practice and had that discipline, you can become good enough so that if you show your skills on YouTube, perhaps people will want to learn from you. So don't think you have to be good at that thing today. Don't think that you have to absolutely love it today, because you can learn to grow your love and grow your skills over time. The important part is really just, is it something that you think you can stick with over the next 5-10 years? And also, is this something that actually makes money? So once you find the intersection of your Ikigai, the next step is actually figuring out what you should be selling. Now, the easiest thing to sell, especially if you are building a personal brand, is going to be services. Now, services I love because you're essentially just making a promise to somebody and saying, hey, I'll coach you with this. I'll help you become more productive. I'll help you with sales or marketing. And if I do a good job, then you pay me. And if I don't do a good job, you don't have to pay me. So it's just a promise, right? And this is very different from, let's say, creating a physical product where you have to invest in creating the product, inventory, management, shipping, right? There's a lot of steps involved in order to do that. So for most people, starting out with services is the first step. Now, once you get the ball rolling, you can then figure out ways to expand, to grow your services, have an agency, or even if you want to just keep it small and tight, you can still be very profitable. Not only that, but you can actually turn these services into products. So for example, when I started the Founder X program, which is essentially a paid program where I help people build their personal brands and monetize their following, right? So it started more as a service, me coaching people. But over time, as I got more experience, I turned it into a hybrid between a coaching product as well as an info product, meaning an online course. So people can watch the course infinitely forever. And at the same time, they get hands-on training with me. So there's different ways to create different products. Now, an important point is that you're gonna want to sell before you build, because a lot of times we may spend a lot of time, building our services, which is, you're not really building a service. You're just like outlining what you're going to do, right? So instead of spending all this time trying to figure out what to sell, you ask the person, what do they want? And you say, hey, I might be able to help you with that. It's going to cost $3,000. Are you down? And if they say yes, you're in business. If they say no, you ask them, why not? And the most common mistake people make is they try to build something in the silence when they should actually be asking for money until somebody says yes. I remember I heard someone say, life is really just, making unreasonable asks over and over and over again until somebody says yes. And I do believe that is true. Now, how do you figure out what type of product or service you want to create? And the easiest way to overcome this challenge is just to copy. Now, this might be a little bit of a controversial take, but it's just the reality of how the business world works. Nothing you invent, especially if you're a beginner, is going to be original. So don't think you're going to revolutionize an industry. Chances are you'll be significantly more successful if you just copy what already works, but do it slightly in your own way with your own packaging. So what do you need to do? So let's say if you were a sales rep, right? And you were like, okay, I'm pretty good at sales. I'm making a lot of money, but now I want to teach other people on how to sell. And I do help a lot of people make this transition. So what I always recommend to them is like, okay, who are some people that you take inspiration from, and who do you want to be like? What kind of business do you want to run, and who do you see doing it really well? And they'll be like, okay, well, here's like 3 to 5 people that, I like, I want to be like them. Great. So I would just be like, all right, create a burner email, go on their funnels, go through the entire funnel, get on the phone with the sales rep, understand their pricing, the different pricing tiers that they have, why is it that people are buying, check out their sales pitch. And by the end of that entire process, even if you don't buy, you know exactly what their process is. Now, if you do this 3 to 5 times in, a niche where, let's say sales, for example, then you kind of get a gist of what everyone is selling, and you'll realize everyone is kind of doing the same thing anyways, right? Once you start dissecting their offers, you can essentially copy it. Now, obviously, you don't copy the trademark, you don't copy their copyright, but the structure of how they price, how they do things, whether they do 1 coaching a week or 2 coaching calls a week, these are all things that somebody has already figured out. People are already paying money for it. It already works. So you're just doing it for yourself in your way. And at the end of the day, when you're selling a service, we're all kind of selling a commodity. Even if you created something original, somebody can copy you tomorrow and go through your funnel, right? So everything is pretty much fair game. The difference between why somebody would want to buy from you versus another person is because of your personal brand. It is the brand. It's the same reason for why people buy Nike sneakers, even though it only costs $7 to make, but they'll sell it for $200. It's because of the brand. And so when you're building a personal brand, you're doing the same thing. And if we're all, information is a commodity now. There's AI, ChatGPT, Grok nowadays. The messenger now is just as important as the message itself. And you also want to figure out exactly what their most profitable avatar is, because chances are if these people are buying, you can also attract a similar crowd to you. So now that you have your offer in week 1, week number 2 is we are going to start making content. Now, the reason for why you want to create content is because it scales infinitely. So if you make a video one time and you put it up on YouTube, infinite people can watch it. It might get 100 views, 1,000 views, 1,000,000 views, or 10 million views. Whatever the case is, the cost to produce it is always going to be the same, but how people consume it and how much money it can make you becomes infinity. So that's why it's so powerful to be a personal brand and someone that creates content in this day and age, because your message can scale infinitely. And if you're selling something online, like a service or an online course, for example, then you can make as much money as you want. Sky is the limit. Now, the beauty of building this kind of business is that when you are creating content, you're effectively selling in your content, right? So the content itself is actually doing 80% of the selling. And the last 20% is when the person DMs you or gets on a call with you and they try to figure out if it's going to be worth the price. So by the time someone is already on a sales call with you, they're pretty much already sold and you just have to take the order. That's why building a personal brand is so powerful compared to, let's say, cold emailing 1,000 people, right? Now, I'm gonna give you 2 important strategies when it comes to creating your content. And this is gonna apply to any platform you choose, whether it's gonna be YouTube, Instagram, or LinkedIn, or whatever platform comes out in the future. And we're gonna use this concept called the belief triangle. So when you're thinking about what type of content to create, whether it's content like mine, how-to tips, checklists, whatever, daily vlogs, it doesn't matter what it is. There are 3 beliefs you need someone to believe in order for them to buy your service at the end, right? They need to believe in you, they need to believe in your vehicle, and they need to believe that they can do it too. So when I say believe in you, it's all about who you are, what is your story, and do people believe who you say you really are? All right, so when I started my YouTube journey, I basically said, hey, I am a sales rep, or I used to be a sales rep working in tech sales, and now I'm teaching the stuff I learned in tech sales online. And so you can check my history, you can check my LinkedIn, I have pictures of me, working at different tech companies. So it's a very believable story. Now, the next step is your vehicle. So whatever it is that you're selling, people need to believe that that thing works, right? So for me, I have a program called Founder X where I help people build their personal brands and monetize their following. So my vehicle nowadays is the idea that a personal brand is what you need in order to build a successful business. If you do not believe in my vehicle, you will never buy anything from me because you don't believe in the idea of a personal brand. So for other people who are selling, let's say, a Shopify course, Amazon course, or I'm going to teach you how to lose weight. These are all vehicles in a sense, and people need to believe in your vehicle in order for them to buy and also to want to even consume your content. Now, the last piece of the puzzle is getting people to believe that they can do it too, because it's not enough for someone to be like, oh, you can do it, Patrick. You can travel the world and build this online business, but I can't do it because I'm this, I'm that. Excuses. I have a 9-to-5. I can't quit. So in order for me to unlock them and break their limiting beliefs, I need to do things like, hey, show pictures of me, working my 9-to-5, showing my cubicle, and then contrasting that with me living in Vietnam and traveling the world and going on vacation, going on trips, and putting those, pictures side by side to let the person know, like, hey, this is where I was at. I was very similar to you in your situation, maybe even worse. And this is where I'm at now. Here's how I got to, from point A to point B. And when they see this, they start believing that they can do it too, because if they see themselves in you and you are just ahead of them, they want to follow in your footsteps. And a lot of times when it comes to creating content and building a magnetic personal brand, you have to become someone people aspire to become. Because at the end of the day, we're all looking to become a better version of ourselves. And that's, for the most part, it gives most people fulfillment. And if you can embody that for them, or you can be the pathway for them to do that, they will love your content because they see themselves in you. So now that you understand the beliefs, how do you actually know if your content is going to be of value to somebody? Because if it's not valuable, especially if you are teaching, educating, inspiring even, then they're not going to watch. Now, the simplest way I can put this is like this. Imagine this guy on the left is a prospect, an ideal customer, a viewer, right? He's at point A. He sees his bag of money at point B. So let's say, somebody's not making as much money as they want, and they want to potentially make much more money and put themselves in a better financial situation, right? You can replace the money with love, relationships, health. Usually these are the 3 main things that typically do the best when it comes to selling information and creating content around. So that's why, beauty channels are really popular, finance channels are popular, fitness channels are very popular, because these are the things that are the most important in our lives, right? This person wants the bag of money on the other side, but he doesn't know how to get to the other side. So, let's make the problem even harder for this person. They don't know how to swim. There's a body of water separating this person between point A and point B. So how is he going to get across? And let's make it even more difficult for them. Let's put a bunch of sharks in the water as well and raise the stakes. Okay, so now this person's thinking, oh my God, I want it so bad, but it's so impossible. It feels so out of reach. So essentially, you are the vehicle that gets them from point A to point B, as I was mentioning before, the vehicle. So for me, it's the personal brand idea. So if I was selling a program like FounDirect, and my goal was to sell these high ticket programs, the coaching program, and I want to help people with a 9-to-5 job, quit and build an online business using a personal brand, the only way they're going to do this is if they believe that my vehicle of building a personal brand makes sense for them. So I'm basically saying, hey, if you pay me, I'm going to give you the shortcut to help you get what you already want. Now, in order to get the person to feel it, to have more urgency, you can do things like light a fire under their ass, which is basically just another way of saying, if you were to do nothing, what pain is that going to cause in your life? So if somebody's stuck in their 9-to-5, they hate their boss, they hate their job, they're not making much money, nobody respects them, and they feel depressed, and if they can't live like this any longer, right? So if you create all these problems and you make them feel like they can't get to the other side by themselves, naturally they're going to want to buy your stuff. Now, this directly applies to creating content as well, especially educational, aspirational type of content, because the best type of content I found that works on YouTube is not the how-to tips. Like, those don't get that many views because it's boring. People need to be emotionally invested in order to want to do something. If someone's like, yeah, my 9-to-5 job is all right, it pays the bills, but I don't really want to move, then they're not going to buy anything, and they're not going to care of watching. They're going to just passively watch your videos once and never see you again. But if you create a story, make it dramatic, show them that they're so much more capable than they realize and that they're dying on the inside by doing nothing, then they're going to want to jump to the other side, but they're not going to know how, which is why they're watching your videos for your help. So use this diagram to figure out what type of content you should be creating in order to create the point A of where they are, point B of where they want to go, point C, which is the vehicle to get them to the other side, and create these urgencies and these challenges to help them overcome. That's why you see videos like, top 10 misconceptions, on productivity, for example, right? What is that? It's just like putting sharks in the water, essentially, metaphorically. Now, I want to give you one more secret when it comes to creating really good content, and that is the fastest way to get views fast is actually just finding outliers. So what does this mean? Essentially, what you want to do is you want to go to YouTube channels or whatever platform you're choosing, but let's just say YouTube for today's video. You want to go on a person's channel and you want to see which videos are outperforming all of their other videos. Then you want to reverse engineer why that video did well. And a lot of the times it's the packaging, it's the thumbnail, the title, and the video idea itself. And lastly, you want to take these core elements and you want to reverse engineer that and apply it to your content. You're not necessarily copying the video. You don't even have to watch the video. You just need to understand the packaging of it, the idea, and just take those variables. So let me give you an example using my personal YouTube channel as an example for you to see. All right. So now that we are on my channel, you're going to see this little icon over here, right? So right now I'm using vidIQ to get this data. So if you go on my channel, you'll see that this video is doing 6.7 times better than my normal video. This one's doing 4.1 times. This one's doing 8.1. So clearly these are good videos. This one's doing, 13 times X. This one's doing 100X, right? So this one is almost at 500,000 views. So essentially what you want to do is you want to dissect a person's channel. It could be my channel, it could be another person's channel. You can go outside of your own niche and figure out, okay, why is this video doing 100 times better than Patrick's usual videos? What can I learn from that? Is it the packaging of the dark psychology? Is it because he's using the color red? What could it be? And then what you want to do is you want to pattern match and you look at the other videos to see what are the commonalities. So let's say we have this cult video. Now, I'm not going to give you all the sauce, but if you notice in this video, I'm also using the color red, and you want to compare it to this video, also using the color red. Is that an indicator that this red lighting and dark psychology and cults, this way of packaging content, could get more views? Perhaps, perhaps not. I'm going to let you decide, and you can analyze my channel, right? Obviously, you don't have to copy my channel, but you want to do this exercise for any channel. And I'll even tell you this, how I even got the idea to create this, the secret to building a cult-like personal brand. The reason I titled it like that and did the thumbnail like that is because I saw all these other channels that were talking about how the government is a scam, food is a scam, everything is a scam, right? A lot of these conspiracy theories and, cult-like followings. It's just what people want to see nowadays. So because I knew this, I just took the ideas from other videos that were unrelated to my niche and applied it into the idea of personal branding. And then not only that, but when you're taking ideas somewhere else and you're putting it into something new, making it fresh, it becomes novel. So novelty is essentially when something just feels new. For example, the NBA just did a collaboration with One Piece, which is one of the biggest animes in the world. And it's a very novel idea, right? It's just something that hasn't really been done because it's so fresh, so new. Everyone who watches the NBA is going to be like, well, why are they collaborating with like this Japanese cartoon? And all the anime fans are going to be like, oh my God, that's crazy, right? And because it's so new, it's going to spread all over Twitter and people are just going to watch it, right? Now, the trick to novelty, or the tricky part about it, is that once something becomes novel, everybody will copy it. So, these like dark psychology videos and the way we did the thumbnails, a lot of people have already started copying it. So we have to innovate on top of that. And when people start copying it, it doesn't work as well anymore. So after the NBA announced their collaboration with One Piece, the MLB, Major League Baseball, collaborated with Demon Slayer, which is another popular anime. But when the news broke for the second collaboration came out, it just wasn't as hot because it's not as novel anymore. That's why being new and early is very important, especially when it comes to YouTube. I'll tell you a secret. When it comes to a YouTube video, it's all about the packaging. So when I do a video on like dark psychology, for example, it's actually the same exact content as I would do in top 10 sales tips. But because I packaged it in a way that's very dark and red and gloomy, people watch it, even though it's the same information. Had I made the same exact video, but just said top 5 sales tips, it's going to get like 5,000 views. So nowadays, when I am creating videos, I'll spend 70% of the time on the packaging, 30% of the time on the video itself. Sounds counterintuitive, but it works. And packaging is really just the idea itself, the thumbnail, the title, and the first 30 seconds, and that's it. That is literally what I spend 70% of my time on when I do make a YouTube video. It's so important that we A/B test thumbnails all the time. I'll show you a live example of a test. For this video, I believe the video was called "This Business Model Will Change Your Life" or something like that. And we tested 2 thumbnails where, one of them was like a graph, red on the left, green on the right, and the chart's going up. The second one is like this blueprint, right? It's of like all the different business models out there. And from our test, the one on the left got 4.15% click-through rate and the one on the right, 3.5. Every percent counts. Every 0.1% counts because you multiply that percentage by impressions and that equals how many views you're going to get. So when you're very scientific about this, you can do things to constantly improve it. We've also tried A/B testing and we said, okay, what if we just made the whole thing green instead of red and green? We've even tested what's the difference between the 2 thumbnails if the one on the left had red and green versus just green only, and there's a significant difference. 4.17% compared to 2.9% is huge gap. And the only difference that we had was just adding the red color on the left side. And actually, it doesn't even make sense. There's no stock chart that has red and green on the same chart. So you see, simple tweaks like that, even if it's just a color change, makes the world of a difference. And that click-through rate will determine whether your video pops off and potentially goes viral or just stays stagnant at a couple hundred views. Now, in the second week of this, you should be producing content. And now we're going to move to week number 3, which is going to be conversations. So when you're creating content, before you actually sell somebody, you're going to actually need to talk to them. And one of the easiest ways to do this is get them in the DMs. You'll notice in my YouTube videos, I always tell people to follow me on LinkedIn. And the reason is because for people who make sense to talk to, I'll actually DM them and then we have a conversation. And if it makes sense, I will get them on a call and they'll talk to my team and then they'll see if they're going to be a good fit for the Founder X program, right? That is essentially my funnel. YouTube at the top, drive traffic to LinkedIn, LinkedIn in the DMs to a sales call. In order to get someone to get warmed up in the DMs, there's an art and science to it. So essentially, obviously in the video, you have a call to action. And I'll usually say, hey guys, if you want to learn more about how to build your personal brand, make sure to follow me on LinkedIn. The moment somebody touches my LinkedIn profile, I know exactly who they are because if you have Sales Navigator, you can see these people and you can DM them. Then once you connect with the person, get them on the DMs, and you can also run the same strategy on LinkedIn and Twitter, right? Any platform that has DMs. YouTube itself doesn't have DMs, so you can't do it there. That's why you have to bring them to a different platform in order to do this. Now, all you really need to do is talk to them like a human being. That's really all it is. It's not that difficult. If you just act like a genuine person, you don't act like an NPC or a bot or make it sound like an AI wrote your script, they will typically respond, especially because they're already warm. They've already seen your content. It's not like you're reaching out to these people cold. So I'll give you some sauce. This is the DM that me and my team actually send to somewhat qualified prospects to start a conversation to see if it makes sense to work together. So it would just be like, hey, John, great connecting with you here. Hey, I saw that you were working at this company, or I saw that you were running your own marketing agency, or whatever it is. Nice, man. Anyways, just curious, what brought you to connect? Are you here for the business content, or are you looking to build your personal brand and business? So believe it or not, this works really well, and you can create different variations of this. The main important thing is you want to make it sound like it's not from an AI. So by just putting in their name is just one layer of work, but you could argue, oh, like any automation software can do that. True, but here's where the special sauce happens. It's that second sentence that's personalized. So what you want to do is you want to go on the person's profile and you want to find some random fact or interesting thing about them and reflect it onto the message itself. So if you saw that they just graduated from school, put that in. If you saw they were working at a company and they're an account executive and they're crushing their numbers and their quotas like blowing out the water, mention that. So these are like these little facts that I think at the moment AI is not super good at finding and deciding which one is the best. Maybe in a couple months, it will be really good at that. But for now, a human can do it really well. And that is that human touch that you can add to these messages that significantly increase the chances someone will even want to talk to you, right? If they watch your content, you wrote a personalized message, but it's not really that personalized. It's like literally taking 10 seconds to look at someone's profile, picking a certain thing, putting it into the message, and that's really how the conversation starts. So for us, we send messages every day, and people, at the end of this, they'll be like, yeah, man, like I saw your content, I really love it. And, I've been stuck in a 9-to-5 grind. I'm looking for a way to escape. But okay, well, tell me more about what you're trying to do, right? And so that's literally how we start the conversations. It's that easy. And typically it's going to take 2 to 5 messages to uncover some kind of problem in order to get on the phone with somebody. You don't have to have a long drawn out conversation. 2 to 5 messages is all you need in order to be like, hey man, like how about we just find a time to talk? Here's my calendar. Then all we do is send them a link to our calendar and they pick out a time, they fill out the application to tell us more about their what they're trying to do with their business, how much funds do they have to invest in the program, all that kind of stuff. And when we look at the application, if it looks good and they feel like they might be a good fit for the program, we get on the call and then we show them how it works. And if they want to buy, great. If they don't, it's totally okay. That is essentially how the game goes. And you might be wondering, what if somebody's not qualified and maybe they fill out their application and they don't have any money to buy your services? Then you just cancel the meeting. No big deal. You say, hey man, it doesn't look like it's going to be a good fit to work together, but hey, here's a couple YouTube videos to help you out on your journey. Wishing you the best. And it's done, and you move on to the next person, right? So when you're getting that much volume, it's okay. Like people will just be like, all right, no big deal, and they move on, and you will move on as well. Now, the final piece of the roadmap, and if you want to sign a high ticket client and build your personal brand in 30 days, is going to be closing. So I already alluded to this, where in the DM conversations, you're going to send a link to your calendar, then they're going to book a time and apply. Now, once they get on the call, here's the thing. They are already 80% sold because they've consumed so much of your content at this point. They know who you are. They like your style. They like your philosophy. You already hammered in the 3 beliefs that they believe in you, your vehicle, and also that they can do it too, which is why they're on the call to explore their options. Now, on the call, the main thing that you're really doing is this. You're transferring your belief that's in your head and you're transferring it to them. What does that mean? It means that you believe in yourself so much, your services, your product, that you can actually transform this person's life, get them from point A to point B in a timely manner, and you have a great price. They need to believe the same thing you believe in order for them to be like, yeah, that's a great deal. Let me pay right now. If they do not believe in this, then they're not going to buy. So really, at the end of the day, it all comes down to confidence. How confident are you in your products and services? How confident are you in helping another person? And how is this confidence going to be transferred to the other person so they feel comfortable giving you lots of money? So when I help my clients in the Founder X program, a lot of people are able to close their first clients literally like 8 days after working with me. The reason is because they're just so confident in their ability to help the other person that the other person trusts them and just hands over the money. You don't actually need a big following. You can get like 10 likes per post on LinkedIn and still use this strategy, and it does work because I've done this for so many different people in different industries, in insurance, in sales, in marketing, and it's really the same thing. As long as they like you as a person and they just believe in you, they will buy. And if you actually stay true to your word and deliver the results, then they don't look stupid. They paid for what they got. Beyond confidence, the next part of being good at sales is actually just having a system. Because confidence is one thing, But having a bulletproof system that you can go through from A to Z and also train other sales reps on is how you're going to really scale, right? Because it's not just a feeling and, oh, I'm just going to say this. It's like you need to know what you're going to say and just take them down this sales route. So in the Founder X program, the way I teach it is most of your sales calls are going to go like this. You're going to start in the beginning, building rapport, getting the person to like you, right? And most rapport is built in the first 5 seconds. It's just your tone and your physical appearance. Next, you're going to set the agenda or the expectations. Hey man, I want to be respectful of your time. Do you mind if we go ahead and get started? Sure, sounds good, Patrick. Okay, great. Well, for this call, I really just want to get to know you a little bit more, see what you're doing with your personal brand, and see how I can help. Obviously, you're going to have some questions for me, and I'd be happy to answer them, and I'm going to have a bunch of questions for you, right? Okay, sounds pretty good. Okay, so, and by the end of the call, if you find there's an opportunity to work together, great. We could talk about what that looks like, but if not, totally fine. Is that okay with you? Yeah, that sounds good to me, Patrick. Cool. Done. Agenda, right? So you set the expectations. If it closes, it closes. You can close it on one call. If it doesn't close for whatever reason, budget, authority, need time, they don't have it, all good. Then all you do is go into the discovery phase and ask a bunch of questions. What have you tried to do to build your personal brand? What kind of content did you make? How come it didn't work? If you do nothing, what is your life going to look like, right? So you're basically asking all these questions to agitate as much pain as possible. Now in that discovery phase, how I like to do it is I start with the pain, right? Get them to really hurt, Then from there, they're like, oh my God, like I feel I'm struggling in my life, whatever, right? Then I say, okay, well, what do you want? Like, what are you really looking for in your life? And then they'll tell me their dreams. So now we have the painful current situation, and then we have the dreams that they aspire to. Then I say, okay, well, what's stopping you from getting it? Then we see all the challenges that prevent them from going to where they already want to go. Then I handle, okay, do you have money? Do you have the decision-making power? And when do you want to get started? So you cover all these things in the discovery phase to see whether or not it's a fit. You're not selling yet. You're just asking questions to really understand the person and connect with them. And if you really think about it, what I'm really doing on that sales call is the same thing I'm doing in my content when I'm trying to convince people to watch my stuff. And that is, where are you at now? Where are you trying to go? How do you want to get to the other side, which is my vehicle? Why can't you do it alone, which is the sharks? What if you do nothing, which is the fire? It's literally the same thing, just on the phone, okay? Now from there, you're going to get into the pitch, and the pitch, really all it is you take all the pains somebody has and you turn it into a solution. That's all it is. So for example, they need help building a personal brand. Great. Here's our module on how to build a personal brand by creating content on YouTube. You're never going to run out of ideas. You have all my scripts. I'll show you my analytics and all my secrets. Does that sound good to you? Of course it does, right? So you just reflect someone's pain as a solution, and that is your pitch. So when we pitch people, we have to pay attention to all the things that they get stuck on. Now, I'm not going to hardcore pitch something that they don't care about. I'm only going to pitch the things they actually care about. So if I'm selling Founder X and let's say there's 10 modules, right? But I know this person only cares about 3 specific modules: how to grow on LinkedIn and how to sell and how to create an offer, for example. Then I'm going to pitch those 3 things and kind of let them know the other parts are still there, but the main thing is the most important. And all you have to do is pitch the main thing, not everything. Otherwise, their eyes are going to glaze over and they're not going to care. And finally, the next step is going to be the close, right? It's just asking for the business. And the easiest way to do it is just ask, when do you want to get started? Now, I guess. Okay, great. Is that going to be Visa or MasterCard? Right? And that's more of a technique for B2C sales, right? But if you're selling business to business, it's going to be a little bit different, right? B2C meaning consumer, everyday people. Whereas let's say if you're selling a fitness program, that's B2C. If you're selling B2B, you're not going to rush the person that quickly because typically B2B, there's a lot more decision-making processes someone has to make in order to even get a deal through, right? So just understand who you are pitching, but that is essentially how you're going to sell anybody. And now I'm not going to go super in depth into the whole script. I have other videos you can check out on my channel where I have a whole 30-minute masterclass on how to do this, but that's pretty much the high level to get you started. And now that you know how to sell, we have completed the roadmap to build your profitable personal brand in 30 days, from creating an offer, creating content, converting the views into DMs, converting the DMs into a call, and closing them. Now, the most important part of this is once you complete the roadmap one time, all you need to do to make more money is do it again and again and again. Because the reality is the roadmap is actually just the beginning of a flywheel. And a flywheel basically means the more cycles that you go through, the better and better you get. Once you go through this cycle once and you create the offer and you sell it, you need to improve your offer, make better content, use your customer testimonials, experiences from coaching your clients or servicing them into your content, making the content better, which will allow you to have better conversations because you have a lot of more ammunition and social proof, which will make selling significantly easier, which will give you more clients, which you can practice more on and improve your offer. So you see, in order to build this kind of profitable business and really like scale to bigger numbers, you just have to get better at these 4 things over and over. The beauty of this is simple. There's only 4 steps to the business, and that's pretty much all you need to be doing. You're either making a better offer, creating content, selling, and servicing your clients, and that is pretty much the name of the game. And remember this, it's very simple, but it's not easy, which is why I did create the whole Founder X program in order to help people build their profitable personal brands and monetize it and go through this entire process. So if you want to learn more about that, you definitely want to send me a DM on LinkedIn so we can talk and see if it's the right fit for you. Or you can check out my free training on founderx.net where I walk you through the steps on exactly how this business model goes. And if it makes sense, you can book a call with me and my team, and I will see you in the next one.